Hey YouTubers, more Robb. Great day in America. Guys, today we're going to do something kind of fun. Going to do a book review of Henley's formulas for home and workshop. It over 10,000 scientific formulas. This book was originally published in 1907. Let that wrap around your head for a minute. 1907, 10,000 formulas. It was republished in 1927 with a few more details added, but if you were in 1907, this was YouTube. If you wanted to know how to make something, you'd use this book. You may have gone to the doctor afterwards, but this was the internet in 1907. At the end of this video, I'll give you a link to where you can download a copy of the 1907. This is, like I said, the updated version of 1927. But they have a really strong cautionary notice at the beginning. It says, please, on all medical advice, consult your physician and do not take the advice given here. In addition, consult your physician. Any advice given on care on the human body. And it also would be a good idea to proceed carefully and treat with discretion all materials recommend here that come in contact with the body. So even in 1907, they were saying, holy crap, what are we doing? Now, it does have some pretty cool, if you were in 1907, there was no information out there. You were just, everybody was a homemaker, a do-it-yourselfer. I have a lot of respect for my grandfather, my great-grandfather, after reading books like this. But they have some interesting chemical processes that they go over to help people out in the beginning. Dialysis, distillation, evaporation, filtration. The same stuff that's going on today, actually, and in labs, but with the early technology. But what I thought was interesting was the really fascinating old remedies and recipes and things that I've never heard of in my life. Plus some really amusing little tidbits that people were it's like a time capsule. You're finding things out. They're little tricks and things. Like here's just one unusual: how to write under the shell of an egg. I don't know why you would want to do that, but it sounds like something somebody would make on a YouTube video. Yeah, you just got to get you some alum and vinegar, and it tells you how to do it. And after you boil the egg, the writing is gone, but when you peel the egg, the writing appears on the egg inside. That's pretty cool. I've never heard anybody do that. And what do we got next? Ooh, removal of tattoos. Apply a highly concentrated tannin solution on the tattooed places and treat them with a tattooing needle. Next, vigorously rub the places with a lunar caustic stick. I wanted to make sure you heard that. Next, vigorously rub the places with a lunar caustic stick. I went on Amazon and apparently they're all out of lunar caustic sticks. I don't know when they get any in. And allow the silver nitrate to act for some time until the tattooed portions have turned entirely black. Then take off by dabbing. Okay, I'm with you so far. At first, a silver tannate forms on the upper layers of the skin, which dyes the tattooing black. With slight symptoms of inflammation, a scurf ensues, which comes off. I've never heard, I'm 64 years old, I've never heard that word in my life. A scurf ensues. I'm going to have to look that one up. I think they mean like a scab, but I've never heard that word. The latter assumes the natural color of the skin after some time. This process is said to have given good results. So, thumbs up from Henley in 1907. What do we got going next here? Ooh, the reducer to make busts smaller and firmer. That was a big deal back then. They want to make them smaller. Okay. 50 grams of lanolin. Listen, ladies, 50 grams of lanolin, 50 grams of Vaseline, and 20 drops of tincture of benzoin. Mixed with water, in which 10 grams of iodide of potassium has been dissolved. So there you go, ladies. Oh, pyrotechnics. Oh, be still, my heart. They have a bunch of information on how to make your own. Oh, they also have how to make your own dynamite too. But here again, the instructions are woefully incomplete. And when I say woefully, I mean you will be full of woe by following the directions, because they don't have a lot of information that's kind of general. But they do have pyrotechnic information, but they have something called pyrotechnic magic. I've never heard of this. It's all kind of like carnival geek stuff, like how to light fire by a paper on fire by breathing on it. These are tricks, pyrotechnic magic. Burning brimstone, the blazing sponge trick, the demon bowls of fire, the burning banana. Place some alcohol in a ladle and set fire to it. Dip a banana in the blazing alcohol and eat it while it is blazing. As soon as it's placed in the mouth, the fire goes out. Sparks from the fingertips. Don't you just want to do sparks from your fingertips? To take, oh, this is one of my favorites. To take boiling lead in the mouth. Okay, let me repeat that. To take boiling lead in the mouth. I think it has two methods. The second method, so you have two methods on how to take boiling lead in your mouth. So if you just don't run out and get this book just for that, you've got to eat burning coals, chain of fire, biting off red hot iron. So I've never seen this anywhere. Pyrotechnic magic. It's pretty fascinating. 1907. There you go, guys. Oh, luminous paints. How to make your own luminous paints. Oh, like Venenos, number 3. Take 60 parts by weight of strontium thiosulfate. 12 parts by weight of 0.5% of acidified alcoholic solution of bismuth nitrate. Okay. And then 6 parts by weight of 0.5% solution of alcoholic solution of uranium nitrate. If only Jeff Bezos would sell us uranium nitrate on Amazon, it'd be so much easier to make our own luminous paint. Then after the mixtures are dried thoroughly to a temperature of 2,372 degrees and heated for about an hour, the phosphorescence is emerald green. So there you go, guys. You just got to get some strontium and uranium and you're all set to go to make your own luminous paint. I'm kind of making fun of these guys in a way, but I remember when I was a kid, my mom worked at Dade Reagents and she worked in the glassware department, and they used, this was like early 1960s, late 50s, early 60s. She used mercury to calibrate the pipettes and stuff in the glassware. And one day she came home, she had a lab coat on, and she had a little tiny bit of mercury in her pocket. I remember being a kid, like 6 years old, 5 years old, putting it in a cardboard box and moving it back around. It was fascinating, but it would break apart and come back together again. And I think it fell on the floor, and I put a dime in it, it got shiny. Like, that explains a lot. Playing with mercury when I was 6. So yeah, I could tell you even worse stories. But when I went to work for that same company years later. But with this video is going to get long if I go off tangent. What do we got going on here? Oh, make your own asbestos mortar. Come on, guys, you know you want your asbestos mortar. I know you've just been dying to make your own asbestos mortar. Kerosene deodorizers. The interesting thing about the need for kerosene deodorizers, because they use it in so many things. Like I was reading one how to get rid of the bed bugs, and they were using kerosene a lot mixed with other things. And of course, then after they got rid of the bed bugs, they had to get rid of the odor of the kerosene. So that's why you have kerosene deodorizers, dummy. Lacquers. They have 1,200 lacquer recipes, and they got a whole chapter on polishes. Back then, 1907, people did a lot of polishing. They have a polish for everything. This is a fascinating page. I've never heard of calcimine. How to find the number of carats, and caroclean, Kissingen salts. What is Kissingen salts? Kissingen water, knife sharpening paste, Knockenplum. I need to make me some Knockenplum. Where's my Knockenplum? Who took my Knockenplum? Cola cordial, it's a drink. I guess it was spelled with a K. That was before Coca-Cola. Maybe that's what their recipe from. Kumis substitute. If you can't get any kumis, here's how to make a substitute kumis. I have no idea what kumis is. It's some sort of beverage. Kummel, kvass, label varnishes. Okay, that's just one page. It goes on like that, page after page. Here's one. Here's where I stopped. I said I can't go any farther. To cut glass underwater. It is possible to cut a sheet of glass roughly to any desired shape with an ordinary pair of scissors if the operation be performed underwater. I wonder if Jacques Cousteau knows that. Of course, a smooth edge cannot be obtained by such means, but it will be found satisfactory. So I'm going to spend the rest of the day getting me a piece of glass and a sink full of water and some scissors and seeing if I can cut my glass underwater. So there you go, guys. I'm not going to go anymore. It's endless. It goes on and on. You can make drinks. You can make recipes for food, perfumes and dynamite, and how to polish your automobile radiator cap, and it's like just also medical things, and it just goes on and on and on. And I'll leave a link in the video description where you can download the 1907 version from a good source. It's a really, you can get this book too at the library, obviously. They'll get it from the other libraries if they don't have it, the one you go to. So check out, if you want to have fun and gain some respect for your ancestors, check out Henley's formulas for home workshop. And hope you have half as much fun as I've been having reading this book and thinking about where I can get my uranium and strontium to make stuff glow green. All right, guys, take care. Hope you have a good one, and see you out there.